of Schick Pick 6. I'm your host, Melanie Schickler, and we have a lot of hockey and basketball to get to on today's show, as well as a huge first pick. Stay tuned for that number 1 pick, but before that, we got to get to pick number 6, and that's Magic Johnson suddenly stepping down as the Lakers president. Earlier in the week, he abruptly announced his resignation from the team. You know, the Lakers signed LeBron James to a mega contract in hopes of having a turnaround season, but unfortunately, LeBron got hurt on Christmas Day, and as their roster became more and more inconsistent, their season clearly didn't go as planned, despite all of the preseason hype. During some interviews, Johnson mentioned that he just didn't have as much freedom as he would have hoped for, and he felt much happier not being so restricted to the Lakers organization. Take a look at what he had to say during those interviews.
And now with the fines and the tampering and this and that, I can't help young men who want me to help them. Or I can't tweet out like Russell Westbrook. That was a great feat the other day, and I couldn't even tweet it out to say, "Hey, congratulations, man." And if I had did that, everybody, "Oh, he's tampered." You know, I don't like that. I like to be free. I was happier when I wasn't the president.
I do wonder, however, if Magic would still be a part of the organization had the Lakers made the playoffs. Whatever his reasoning may be, the Lakers are now left with an even bigger issue. They have to replace the position of president in an already inconsistent organization, especially after parting ways this week with former head coach Luke Walton. Well, we too part ways from basketball and we move on to pick number 5, which is the Seattle Mariners. They are absolutely dominating Major League Baseball. They have a league best 13-4 record, and they're shocking many baseball fans all over the country. They've exceeded analysts' expectations, even with 15 newcomers on their 25-man roster. They traded second baseman Robinson Cano, shortstop Gene Segura, star closer Edwin Diaz, and starting pitcher James Paxton. Even without these veteran guys, the Mariners are still atop the league and have set the record for the most consecutive games to start the season with a home run. They have a total of 36 home runs on the season in just the first 16 games of the season. If you can't do that math, that's 2.25 per game. Of those 36 home runs, Jay Bruce has 7, Daniel Vogelbach has 6, and Tim Beckham, Edwin Encarnacion, and Domingo Santana each contributed 4. And after last night's game against the Astros, their streak is still alive. 16 games strong, and let's see how many more nights they can knock one out of the park. While we wait, back to basketball for pick number 4. After being the only 1 seed to fall to a number 16 seed in the first round, the Virginia Cavaliers have proved haters wrong and clawed their way to the 2019 title.
And Virginia with the all-time turnaround title.
I cannot believe how many close games the Cavaliers were a part of in their final run. The first was against Purdue, where they escaped in overtime against the 3 seed. Then, of course, was their controversial win against Auburn in the Final Four. And shockingly enough, the title game also went into overtime. You know, when you find yourselves in such close games, you have to think about what clutch players you want in these situations. For head coach Tony Bennett, that player was junior guard Kyle Guy. In Virginia's final 3 games of the tournament, he averaged 47% from inside the line, 93% from the free throw line, and averaged 21 points per game. Not to mention, he shot 100% on foul shots in the last 2 games, where his shots literally determined the fate of his team. He stepped up in the biggest moment of the tournament after being fouled in the Final Four game. The game resided in those 3 shots, and I don't know how he pushed the pressure aside, but he did. What a comeback for Bennett and his squad. We go from the end of the NCAA season to the end of careers for future NBA Hall of Famers for pick number 3. Legendary players Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade both called it a career and played their final game Wednesday night. Here's a look at the emotional video tribute that the Spurs gave Dirk in San Antonio for his final game.
And now, a 14-time NBA All-Star, selected to 12 All-NBA teams, a league MVP and an NBA champion. A 7-foot forward from Germany, number 41, Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk finished as the all-time Mavericks leader in points with over 31,000 points and 6th all-time in the NBA over 21 seasons, all with the same franchise. He was named MVP of the regular season in 2007 and MVP of the finals in 2011 when he and his team won the championship. He's known for his fadeaway move, and if you're not familiar with this move, here's a look at it over the years.
Nowitzki against Wade. It's good! What a shot! It's just amazing when you think a man this size can have such a touch.
One of the most unique offensive weapons to ever play this game.
Nowitzki, 1 foot falling away.
Dirk Nowitzki really changed the power forward position.
To Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki. Very.
Not a lot of players can say that they spent their entire career with one organization. Some of the best players in NBA history haven't even done so. How about LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the list just goes on. Dirk joins the company of Kobe Bryant as the only players in NBA history to spend 20 or more seasons with the same franchise. Even Dwayne Wade, who spent 16 seasons on the Miami Heat, even spent 2 seasons elsewhere. And speaking of Dwayne Wade, what a way to end a career. He was a 13-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, NBA Finals MVP, and so much more. On Wednesday night, he made it a point to finish with a triple-double against the Brooklyn Nets in his last game, and he did just that. He dropped 25 points, including 3 buckets from behind the arc, posted 11 rebounds, and had 10 helpers. Most of his assists came in the first half, while 65% of his points came in the second half. He put on a stellar performance in front of his surprise guests, Banana Boat Squad. For those of you that don't know, that's the hypothetical super team consisting of LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, and of course, D. Wade. Just weeks ago, I was sitting here going on and on about the electric play of the Tampa Bay Lightning and praising them for their President's Trophy accomplishment. Now they've made headlines for falling behind 3 games to the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round of the playoffs. After going up 3-0 in the first game of the first round, they've been outplayed, outsmarted, and out-hustled by the Columbus Blue Jackets. They just seem to be going through the motions and expect that everything's just going to fall into place. Well, that's not how it works, and it clearly backfired. The Jackets bound together during intermission and really sparked some late-game heroics. Here you see the Lightning cough up the puck to Nick Foligno, who then gets his team on the board in the middle of the second period. Then you have David Savard's unbelievable move against Norris Trophy winner Victor Hedman. He shouldn't be just letting the puck go by him that easily. And soon after that, Josh Anderson ties the game at 3. Just as it looked like we'd be watching overtime in game number 1, the Jackets' surge continues and Seth Jones ripped the game winner right past Andrei Vasilevsky. The Lightning just could not recover by the end of game 1, which translated into their play for game 2. They're just not playing like the team that we all know them to be, and their frustration really got to them, especially Nikita Kucherov, who was suspended for this dirty hit against Jackets' Marcus Nudavara. Just because you tie the record for the most wins in an NHL season and you win the President's Trophy doesn't mean that you could just show up and expect to win. Top-line stars Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, and Nikita Kucherov do not have a single point in the series. Jackets newcomer Matt Duchene had 4 points in 1 game. This is a really big problem that the Lightning need to fix immediately, otherwise they're looking at a clean sweep right out of the playoffs. But to something positive on our show, let's get to that. Our number 1 pick is Tiger Woods winning the Masters. That green jacket is all his. It's his first major title win since 2008 and his first Masters win in 14 years. Here's a look at his final putt and the emotional first encounter he had with his family.
I doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
He went up in the 15th hole for the first time in the tournament after knocking in a birdie. Going into the last hole, he was up by 2 strokes, which was all he needed because he finished 1 ahead. How about this for an amazing stat? In all of his Masters wins, he shot a 70 in the first round, and he's always been behind. Shout out to my grandpa for that amazing stat. What a way to end our show today. Next week, we'll have even bigger headlines in the NBA and NHL playoffs. I look forward to seeing you all Sunday night on Schick Pick 6.